there, everybody.
Hey there, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome into this edition of ESPN FC's Extra Time. Jan
He has a different one for Football America. What's the hell?
Shaka Hislop and Alan Merno. No, Football America says football.
I was like, what is happening?
Okay.
Wow, stop.
Did I shock you on the show last
A
night?
little bit, yeah, a little bit.
You were taking a nap, right?
I thought I could get that.
That'll wake you up.
You see the outfits they wear and everything.
Yeah.
It's like the graphic tees.
I
And
was
all
all
this
nice
thing.
there.
Very young.
I was there
Yeah,
with my jacket and tie.
They're connecting with the hip audience.
Yeah.
Can I say Shaka was a little bit overdressed on his appearance last night? Full tie, buttoned up, very formal.
I was connected with the geriatrics.
Yes.
Well, it's good to have some gravitas. We don't have much of that. We're lacking in that department. Okay, first question here. Copa America pots have been announced today. Not groups, but the pots for seeding. Ale, how are you liking Venezuela's chances in pot 3? Seb, do Mexico or U.S. have any chance of winning? Shaka, will Trinidad take one of the remaining spots in pot 4? Ale, we'll start with you in Venezuela.
Well, I cannot answer this question about Venezuela without talking about the fact that your beloved Mexico and the United States are in pot 1.
Hater in the house.
And how did we get there?
I'm just going to lean back.
How did we get to the point to where the United States and Mexico are given the opportunity and the right to be in pot 1? You tell me. You are a big fan of both of these teams. You have your allegiances with both.
Yes.
Do they belong in pot 1? Huh? Having seen Uruguay play.
Okay, so here's what if I were really doing pot 1, really truly on what I believe the best 4 teams are today. Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, USA. Mexico would not be a top 4 team.
Mexico barely qualified.
Yeah. And
With penalties?
Hey, steady over there, Trinidad.
No, I'm just
Relax.
saying, it went to penalties.
this is factual information. Whereas Uruguay went to Argentina and won, and they
Beat Brazil.
beat Brazil as well.
Yeah.
In fact, Colombia just beat Brazil.
Yeah.
So look, I understand and.
You wouldn't
and
put
again,
U.S. in a home tournament ahead of Colombia?
Well, but hold on a second. This is a home tournament that is a made-up tournament for the United
Well,
States
it's
and
still
Mexico.
in the United States.
Yes, well, but I don't care if it's in the United States. This is Copa America. It's already bad enough that you're taking the tournament out of
Here we go.
South America.
We got him.
Out of South America.
Oh,
See,
we got
see,
him.
the Euros, take the Euros out of Europe. Do that. See how that works out. See, you're taking the tournament that is a South American tournament to be playing the United States, and now we're accommodating the United States as well, and Mexico. Let's not forget, because I tell you why Mexico's in pot 1, because Mexico makes a lot of money here.
More money than the United States.
Correct.
In the United States.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so, honestly, if we're going to run this tournament and do it correctly, neither the United States nor Mexico belong in pot 1.
Well, to be fair, Qatar was in pot 1 at the World Cup. Like, that's how it goes.
Qatar doesn't belong in pot 1 either.
All right, next here on Extra Time, Natum's interior decorator. For Jan, imagine you're Xabi Alonso. Oh, I never got Trinidad. Trinidad, yay or nay?
It's going to be tough for Seb. I was hoping you forgot.
I mean, there's still a path in March. So it's 90 minutes.
We play in Canada, in a
Yeah.
neutral venue. Listen, Canada have proven themselves to be one of the better teams in CONCACAF over the last, 4 years. And we haven't. It's about as nice as I can put it. It's going to be tough. We've got to punch his chance. Let's leave it at that.
Ale, you never told me what you thought Venezuela would do in the Copa America. But before you do that, I would like to visually bring back some memories.
Oh,
Wow!
oh, hello.
Who is
Look at
that?
that team captain.
What do we celebrate? For those listening on the podcast, this is a visual from, I believe, the Venezuelan, or maybe CONMEBOL, Venezuelan Federation. It's kind of all the stars of Venezuelan football. And Ale Moreno definitely on it. What do we
There's
celebrate?
7 there. Guess who's on it?
This was put out by CONMEBOL congratulating Venezuela and the Venezuela Federation for their 98th birthday.
Wow.
So I made the cut, apparently.
Okay.
Wow.
Vamos, Venezuela!
That's
Pot 3, you kidding me?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, how about the hair?
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't recognize it. I was like, who's that?
Well, you know.
All right, Jan, here's your question. Imagine you're Xabi Alonso for a sec. Let's say your former clubs, Bayern, Liverpool, and Real Madrid, all have managerial vacancies this summer, and they all offer you the job. Which job are you taking and why? Again, it's Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Real Madrid.
First, I would just ask you which pot is Norway on, because if USA and Mexico is in pot 1, are we a part of Copa America too?
Don't get him started again, Jan.
Sorry.
Don't get him started again.
That's right, Jan.
Sorry.
We've been listening to this for the last 2 weeks.
No, sorry. So my name is Xabi Alonso. As you know, I was a very elegant midfielder, winning everything. I played for Liverpool, I played for Bayern Munich, and I played for Real Madrid. And now I have the chance to pick from all these clubs. So we start there. First of all, I will say that if after doing that, what I've done now in Germany, being a big challenger, maybe winning the Bundesliga, I will go out of Germany. I can always come back to Bayern Munich. So then I will see what will I do with Liverpool and Real Madrid. Then I would think, as Xabi Alonso, that I think if I have the chance to do Real Madrid, I will do Real Madrid straight away, because I can always get a chance to go back to Liverpool. And that is no disrespect to Liverpool, but we do know that for a lot of coaches, a lot of players, the ultimate goal is to one day play or manage Real Madrid. So I will go in that order.
All right. Xabi Alonso doesn't have Jan's hair. He has a lot, but not Jan's hair.
I'm not going to criticize anybody's hair.
Let's be honest. Nobody.
Well, I mean, in that last picture, it was pretty strong.
Nobody's got Jan's.
Pretty strong, pretty strong.
I tell you what.
His hair, I tell you what, Al's hair on that picture would have been in pot 1 of hairs.
Yes, Jan. Yes, Jan. You're my favorite, Jan. And for that, I'll tell you this, Jan. You have better hair than Seb.
What?
I'll tell you. Yeah, that's right. I said it. You heard me. I didn't stutter.
I know we like to have fun.
I said it.
But accuracy is paramount here on ESPN FC, and we just can't be throwing stuff out like that. Okay? We need to keep facts. All right, guys, do your kids/family ever ask to hear stories about your old playing days? Do they seem impressed that you were a successful pro soccer player? From the laughs, I don't think you guys are getting much respect at home. What's going on, Shaka?
No, but
Absolutely not.
No one ever asked for.
Let me tell you. So, my pre-match meal used to be tuna pasta bake, right?
Okay.
I loved it. My wife cooks it now, and every time she cooks it, I always just say, "This should be my pre-match meal." All the kids, we get it, Dad. You used to be a professional football player. Move on. Move on.
Really?
No respect. None whatsoever.
Jan, same for you?
Well, first of all, I'm at the moment I'm at my parents' house. I'm in West Norway, and all the stuff of my football career is here. That's the reason. It's not at home. If you come into my home, has Jan ever played football? That's point 1. And I will use my wife, as I've been married for a couple of 100 years with my wife. We've been together all my football career. So sometimes I go to these reunions, especially to Germany. I go to Eintracht Frankfurt. We meet up once a year, and when we bring our wives. So typical, after one of those nights, we would come back to the hotel room. My wife would say, "Jan, is there any chance that you would stop doing the same stories every year? Every year the same stories. Is there any chance?" And I say, "Oh, never. We will always stick to the same old stories."
Jan's son, Marcus, I believe, is quite an accomplished footballer, right? He's never asked you about that time that you got stopped by Jorge Campos at the 1994 World Cup?
I can't remember that game. I just remember we won 1-0.
Take that. Set.
Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer.
That's why you've got better here, Jan.
You know
Yeah.
what's an even better answer is going back and looking at the group standings, seeing who advanced out of that group.
Yeah, true. Good point.
All right, don't Hutchison. Start, bench, drop. I mean, the names are good. Garnacho, Ansu Fati, and Doku. Oh, that's hard. Ale, you go first.
Well, I don't think it's as hard as.
I guess we're going right.
No, nor do I. Let me see if you go the same as me.
I think you start Doku, you bench Garnacho, and you drop Ansu Fati because he's not healthy and fit enough to play, so he cannot be part of the mix.
Shaka?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Same. I definitely start Doku, no question. And Garnacho coming off the bench.
Jan,
And it's so,
make it 3 for 3.
It's so typical Don Hutchinson asking a question like that is so obvious. But, but yeah, I mean, I do understand after that. game, goal, super Puskas kind of game, Garnacho, that he will be in there, but I will be with the boys. It's not often that all three of us agree on that, on those kind of questions.
It's rare. It's rare. When it happens in the show with predictions, I always think to go the other way.
Yeah, we had a couple of them on the show today.
We did.
Oh, that's not good for. I think it was City. No good for City.
Do you guys agree with Ancelotti that modern football requires physical players like Bellingham to cover the pitch more quickly than compared to when you played? Whoa, that's kind of Shaka?
The game's changed. I think, and that was in reference to a comparison between Bellingham and Zidane, which is just kind of ridiculous. Two very different players. But I think Ancelotti answered as well as he could, and yeah, the game is asking for a different type of player now.
I'll give you an example of a player who, growing up, I thought was magical out of Colombia. El Pibe Valderrama, Carlos Valderrama, whose passing game was second to none in the world, and whose ability to see the field was second to none. But what was also second to none was his inability to run. He was the king of the slow jog. And he would get around the field and just find the spaces that he knew he could get the ball and then find a pass. I don't know, and I don't know whether this is good or bad for the game, but I don't know that there is a place in the game for that sort of player nowadays at the elite level. Now, every team would love to have a guy with the vision of Valderrama, but the game now demands for more, and so players like that seem to be phased out.
Because you can't sacrifice a guy defensively, basically.
Correct, because you know he's not going to cover ground defensively, and he's not going to make any effort in trying to get himself in defensive positions. So now you're carrying an extra player, and plus the physicality of the back and forth. He didn't want to do the back and forth. It's not what he did best. I don't know that a player like that, and we would be missing out on a great player and a great talent.
Right.
Because let me tell you, he was unique. And around the world, he was more well known because of his hair. But the guy could play, and nobody could find a pass like him in South America.
But then for every player like Valderrama, you have a Claude Makelele, who covered every blade of grass.
Right.
So, but again, to Ali's point, I'm not sure that the game today, you can afford to have one passenger.
Right.
For want of a better term, who, especially in midfield, who isn't doing running, who isn't giving, who isn't helping at all. You can't afford that in today's game.
Jan, go ahead.
I think that sometimes we are children of the 90s, and I think the 90s are in fashion because of, first of all, there are a lot of myths about the 90s. There was a reason there was a reason why our shirts were a bit more, we're not so tight, because if you see, nowadays you can have a celebration, you take off your upper body and they have a body like models. There was not many models in the 90s. We have to agree on that. There were not many models. I mean, some when we played, Shaka, when we played in England, we will say that some of them were what we call a bit fatty. I mean, we have to just say that. And that is one thing. And secondly, in the 90s, and some pundits always say, oh, we need the leaders of the 90s. We need this and that. People change. There is a new set of footballers now. Yes, they're more fragile, maybe, but that is the way they are. That is how children, that's what we develop. And that's why the leaders now are different in the 90s. I'm glad I was a guy of the 90s. If I had a body like Cristiano Ronaldo, I would take my shirt off anytime. But I didn't, and neither did my colleagues.
Oh, such a missed opportunity for all of us.
To see Jan without a shirt? Okay, all right.
Do the guys remember the first time in the ESPN studios? When was the first time they met each other?
Oh.
Who's the longest tenured here? Is it you, Shaka?
Shaq.
Yeah.
So take us back, memory lane.
To what?
To your beginnings here at ESPN.
I first came up here in October 2007. I just retired from FC Dallas. Steve Polisi, our coordinator producer, invited me up to do a couple of shows. I had nothing else to do. My wife and I were planning to move back to Trinidad after Christmas. So I thought, all right, and came up. And I think I did 2 shows with Press Pass, as it was called back then, with Janusz, Tommy, and Derek. did a game commentary with Adrian Healy, and they got a call a couple of weeks later saying that they wanted to offer me a full-time deal, and all of a sudden, here I am. I never gave doing this kind of work any thought before that.
Yeah.
What about your start?
My start.
Didn't you meet Stevie on your first day?
No.
What's that?
My start came from failure. My start came from the fact that Chivas USA, the team that I was playing with at the time in Major League Soccer, we failed to make the playoffs. And ESPN at the time was looking for somebody who had some success in MLS Cups and could come and do studio work, guest studio work for the playoffs. And who was available? Well, this guy, because, well, we were not in the playoffs. And I had been fortunate enough to have won 3 MLS Cups at that time. And so, therefore, they brought me in. And I did the playoff coverage for ESPN for Major League Soccer. And then after that, the next year, we again failed to make the playoffs. ESPN called me back to do the same thing. And the year after that, I retired. And that's when I came up. And actually, the first time that I did a FC show, or what was, I think it was like a pilot type thing, it was Shaka, Dan, and myself.
Wow.
And our today's producer, Luis, was also in the room with us.
Wow, it would be a reunion if just Dan were here. He's the only thing missing. People often say that when I'm here.
You've got better hair than Dan, Seb.
And better height.
As I'm the rookie here, it's true that I'm good at the end. And what is interesting, because I've never been in the States, I've always done in different hotel rooms all around Europe, sitting somewhere with some sad hotel door behind me, doing that. But I find this brilliantly, because there is a kind of bound between us. And when I go to England, especially, and I meet some of the guests I have never, or some of my colleagues, when I meet them in stadium, and it's that bound straight away. We go over to each other, we hug each other, and the thing is, when I'm in England, I get comment all the time about the colleagues, especially about Craig. They say, is Craig as grumpy as everybody is saying? As I do understand that Craig loves his image, so I say no. He's smiley. He's so nice. He's the nicest ever. But if I may say, to understand how big our thing is, I went to Manchester City, and I said the story before. The biggest boss at Manchester City, I would like to pronounce his name, but I will probably go wrong. But that is the boss at Manchester City. I went into the club VIP thing there to pick up Alfie Haaland, and he said, and Alfie said, "There's the boss of Manchester City. You know him. I should know. Take his name, Caliph." And he's saying. And he's coming here, and he came over to me, and before he said hello to Alfie, he just came over to me and said, "I see you at ESPN all the time, love it." I think that is power.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Friends in high places. How about that? All right. How about the names that were dropped just in that little story, right there? Alfie Haaland, the big boss at Manchester City, came over to me.
I know my storytelling.
But much like Shaka, and I don't know about Yama, much like Shaka, it wasn't even on my radar to be doing this post-career. And it just all happened sort of by circumstance, and kind of, you get a phone call, you say yes. I could have just as easily have said no. I said, yeah, sure, why not? I've never done it. I just sat in a chair. They asked me a question. I answered the question. And it's like, and
here you are still talking all these years later.
Correct. I haven't stopped talking for the last decade or so.
I just keep showing up. I haven't had a contract for the last 10 years. I just keep showing up. Nobody knows I've been fired.
Like the guy in Office Space.
It's funny, right? But it's still funny. I played against Shaka. He played in Newcastle. I played as Middlesbrough. We were up in Northeast, and then you meet again. And when we talk about players, we do tend to see that is international connection. That's what we all, I guess, love about football, because although there are some of us, but it's still not many. So it's like a kind of family, a funny family.
And apparently we keep telling the same stories every time we meet.
Yes. Well, that's, if anything sums up family.
Have you talked to my wife?
And we all laugh at each other.
Jan's got to stop lying to the people about Craig, though. Jan's got to stop lying to the people about Craig. Please, Jan, tell the people the truth.
Well, it's funny. He's talking about how everybody runs and hugs each other, and then he's talking about Craig. So obviously not the same guy. All right, there he is, Jan Fjordhoff. Great to be with you. Alan Moreno, Shaka Hislop. I'm Sebastian Salazar. Thanks for watching us here on Extra Time. And a reminder, ESPN FC available for you 7 days a week. Craig and Shaka will be back in studio for tomorrow's edition.
Will you be hugging Craig tomorrow?